Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my March 2026 book haul. So I am filming around 10 or so in the morning in late March. And so this is how the sun is coming in on me at this time of day, which I feel like it's a little brighter than I'd usually like, or like that I'm not sure if like the lighting is weird, although certainly not as weird as my last video, which I filmed about 2 hours earlier yesterday. But I think it's okay to go forward. First of all, I do have other things I want to do today, and I think the image I hope looks okay for my small fry booktube channel. Besides, hopefully the major interest in this video is actually talking about books. And I have a interesting small little book haul to share with you guys, complete with a couple of stories. It's probably a little too generous to call them stories, more like, brief explanations about why I acquired the books I acquired this month. So my first little story explanation is that this year, a few weeks ago, AWP, which is the Association of Writing and Writing Programs, held their annual conference pretty near to me in Baltimore. And I wasn't on the ball about trying to attend, because they'd have some interesting panels and so forth. But also, when I did look into it, the price was pretty astronomical, I thought, and so it did not necessarily seem worth it for my budget. It is a shame. As I said, there would be a lot of panels about writing and publishing, and there's a lot of emphasis put on small publishers, university presses, literary journals, and etc. And I thought, well, I could still take the time to support the little guy in terms of my book buying this month. So that's what I decided to do. And the first thing I did was I went back to Press 53. They were on site at the AWP conference. And some years back, I actually submitted some of my own work to them, and I got a short story collection from them, which I liked. So I thought I would return to their short story slash novella collections, and I went with something they published a few years ago. This is We Were Angry, a novella and stories by Jennifer S. Davis. And also, I should just say inside, here is a bookmark. I think that is advertising a recent poetry publication for them. So I like the sound of this collection, due in part to, the summary, which to briefly touch on, says it plunges deeply into the reality of small-time Alabama life and its effects on the people who grew up there. And, it's a novella and short stories, and I like being able to read, this type of fiction as well. But I also realized that I was familiar with Jennifer S. Davis from another short story collection. And that short story collection is This Is Not Chick Lit. Various original stories by America's best women writers, edited by Elizabeth Merrick, which I think I read like over a decade ago. And I'm going to link to my review of the collection down below. And I do explicitly mention Jennifer S. Davis, who indeed is one of the contributors, that I liked her story in this collection. So that's all the more reason to give her more of a go. So I'm excited to have, more of her work with me. And, another, there's actually a few writers in this collection that I really like. So maybe Jennifer S. Davis will be joining them. The next book I acquired this month is The Song of the Bluebird by Esther Goldenberg. This is the third in her biblical fiction trilogy called the Desert Songs Trilogy. And in fact, the other two books are right up there that I've acquired in previous years. And so I'm excited to have the full set. I, went ahead and I actually revamped my bookshelves so they are sitting there prominently, reminding me I should read them soon. I actually acquired this book at a book launch, a local book launch for her at the People's Book in Tacoma. And it was really a small little event where she read from a character that she fleshed out from biblical history. And it was just a really enjoyable time. And anyway, I actually have all three of these books signed. The first book, The Scrolls of Deborah, she came to my synagogue's Sisterhood Book Club and signed there. Then the second book I found by chance last year at the People's Book, which I was attending for Indie Bookstore Day. And there were some, signed copies that she signed from, the release of The 17 Spoons. And so I knew to be on the lookout this year for hoping that she'd return to the People's Book for The Song of the Blue Bird. And so I actually did get to talk to her, and then I got the book signed. So I do have all three books signed. Two of them are personalized to me. That is my story. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm wondering when I should, get finally into reading these books. And I'm wondering, maybe I can make this an October reading challenge. Like, rather than doing Victober, I could do Biblifiction October. It does not run off the tongue as easily. But it's just something that I, like to do, to, carve out the time to finally read through this entire trilogy now that I have all three books with me. And of course, Esther Goldenberg promised me that my name, Rachel, would be featured very prominently. So I imagine, the matriarch's gonna be around. So, huzzah. I was also hoping for one final Indie Press book to arrive in time for this video. I ordered it from the Indie Press publisher back in a couple weeks ago now, and I've been tracking it on USPS, but as you can see, there's been no movement since the 23rd. And so it seems like it got stuck somewhere in a nearby distribution center, but hasn't made its way to me yet. So a little concerning, but hopefully I'll have it in time for, my April book haul. I do hope and intend, if it's not here, like in the next couple of days, I'm going to go ahead after all of the Pesach/Passover craziness of the first couple days to go ahead and reach out to USPS to see if they can find this package for me, and I'll have another adventurous story to share in a book haul video, hopefully next month. And otherwise, that about covers it for me now. I will be leaving links to AWP and Press 53 and the Goodreads links for these books listed down below, and also the People's Book Bookstore in Tacoma, which is relatively new, but I think doing pretty well. Tacoma being the suburb of Washington, D.C. that's close to me, and not Tacoma, Washington State across the country. But anyway... If you went to AWP, I'd love to hear about it. Or if you want to shout out indie presses of some sort, I'd love to hear what presses are your favorites that publish the stuff that you're most into as well. I also plan to be back on this channel in the near future for my quarterly writing wrap-up video. I make these videos every 3 months to hold myself accountable to some goals and see if a certain SEPTA has to come visit me to shame me. We shall see. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Happy end of March, and I'll see you next time.